'Cause I'll be there for you, 'cause we care for you. You're there for me too, my friend. I know it's hard sometimes when you feel left behind. Tell me what's on your mind. Why do this on your own, yeah? 'Cause I'll be there for, 'cause I'll be there for you, my friend.
Right, welcome to Johnny's Chats. I'm here with Elena, life coach, yoga teacher, and meditation instructor. How you doing?
Really good, Johnny. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Let's start off with, you want to tell us a bit about yourself, what you do with yourself, like how you got into it?
So, my journey started in my teens with my own struggle with depression, and I started to write poetry and stories and design clothes. So I used the angst, particularly poetry. I poured a lot of my love and confusion and depression into poetry and wrote the most beautiful stuff for a young girl.
Yeah.
And the search continued, and I turned to spirituality, from religion to the tarot, astrology. I kind of dabbled with everything, looking for the meaning of life, and trying to understand this feeling that I had, that even though I had these challenges, there was a part of me that was unchallenged. So even though I was experiencing depression and sometimes suicidal feelings, there was a part of me that was untouched by life's challenges. So I wasn't sure if this was God, if this was my spirit, if this was the universal life force. What was it, you know? And I dreamt quite vividly, and I used to write my dreams and try and understand the inner world that I was experiencing, as well as the outer world.
Yeah.
And one of the problems I had was being grounded. So I found it very easy to live in the inner world. I found it difficult to live in the outer world, to be really grounded and to, kind of really put myself out there. So eventually I did a degree in psychology. I found very grounding, very rational, understanding language and thinking and emotion and the body, and how trauma sits in the body, how trauma is related to some of the illnesses, psychosomatic illnesses that I experienced, from migraines to tummy aches to muscle aches, insomnia or oversleeping. And that grounding started to bring self-awareness of how I was influencing my life. I think we can sometimes come from a place of things happening to us.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, and not having enough self-awareness of how we influence the world. And my degree started to ground me on how I was affecting the world, showed up in the world, and how the human being developed, what the human being needed to develop. So eventually I did a clinical placement in psychiatry, working in an eating disorders unit. I had a dual role of assistant psychologist and research psychologist, putting theory to practice. And then from there, I worked in psychiatric intensive care units.
Well, like a crisis team sort of thing. Or...
Oh, can you hear that?
Yeah.
What I pressed. Yeah. Not really. In Northwick Park, Brent and Harrow. So not the crisis team as such, working in the wards, alongside psychiatrists and social workers and the police to help people manage really, really severe symptoms. So as a professional, it looks like you're helping other people, but the reality is the journey is simultaneous. You are helping yourself at the same time. In a way, there's a fantastic book actually that's called Learning from the Patient. And this is where the professional learns from their patient. You stand there as the professional, but really you're on an equal footing with another person who is suffering and allowing you to work together through the suffering that you also experience through life. So together a healing begins to occur. You see yourself in the other person and the other person sees themselves in you. So you can provide, I guess, an example, you know, of remedying some of the human suffering. Anyway, so from there, the journey continued, and I then worked with the crisis team.
Yeah.
Quite a few years later, and then trained in ecstatic dance, completely different but the same. Trained in yoga and meditation, again completely different but the same. And what makes them the same is you, me, is us, and it's all aiming at the same thing, which is healing, creativity, and letting go of the victim drama.
Yeah.
The victim drama has got all of us by the balls.
Yeah.
And when you can see how that can dominate your life and stop you from taking action, you can begin to regain your power. And this was something that I experienced as a teenager. I had a victim drama. I came from a very tumultuous, violent upbringing. So, of course, as a young teenager, I am a victim because I'm at the hands of my parents who are meant to be taking care of me. And then they're not able to, for whatever reason. So, yes, I'm a vulnerable young person at the hands of my parents, experiencing domestic violence. So, yeah, a victim was going to develop. You know, I, as a young teen, needed guidance and needed love. And instead, I was developing an ambivalent, confused relationship with my family. So, how do you overcome that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I overcome it. Well, it was recognizing something within me, which was that I was not this story that had happened to me. I was something a bit more than the story, and that I didn't want the story to define me.
Yeah.
I felt crippled by it and kind of buried beneath it. And the psychology degree was an attempt at understanding my family, the dynamics, understanding myself, my own behaviors, my own self destructive behaviors, and working with other people who had suffered. I was able to see the extent that human suffering and the victim consciousness can take you. It can take you along drug abuse, self harm, psychosis, suicide, death.
Yeah.
It's got extremes, right? It can go very, very, very deep and dark. And when you start to skirt close to the edge of depression and suicidal ideation, it can take you, the void can take you. So to help to bring people back, to help bring myself back was my my life's work, really. I dedicated myself to bringing myself back and bringing other people back in the throes of psychosis, in the throes of self-harm. Now, the thing is, you can't help anyone. You can be a support and someone that believes in others,
Yeah.
but you ultimately do it for yourself.
Yeah.
This is what we were saying earlier. I believe that there is a champion, there's a warrior. Bless you.
Thank you.
Everyone. You know, when you're feeling so low, you don't believe that about yourself, and other people have. The reality is they don't. You are a whole person, and one of the archetypes in everybody is the victim consciousness. But another archetype is goddess, is warrior, is trickster, is magician. We have all of these available to us. And the victim and the predator are a big part of our society.
Yeah.
It's getting to grips with what we are, grounding and getting to grips with who we are, what we are, and giving ourselves permission to have. Now, if you're unfamiliar with feeling worthy, then to make the flip from feeling unworthy to worthy takes effort.
Yeah.
It takes action. It takes daily practice of literally flipping, because it's the other side of the same coin. The other side of wealth is poverty. The other side of poverty is wealth. They both exist in the same extremes. So, you know, in the universe, there is only abundance. We've got this, there's not enough, there's lack, and we have to scrimp and scrape. And that's not entirely true. Energetically, because everything is energy, there is only abundance. So now, how do we bring abundance into our lives? How do we have a beautiful and empowering relationship with money? How do we have a beautiful and empowering relationship with food, with our body, with one another, with our work? You know, what's your philosophy in life? So I needed to go from a suffering victim to abundance.
Yeah.
There's a shift. You
Yeah.
have to shift.
How did you do it? What was the techniques or the habits that you implemented in order to break through?
So diet,
Yeah.
begin to look after the body, really important. Not smoking, because you're polluting the body.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, everything aside, the one thing that we all know is real is the body, right? Like
Yeah.
you're living in a body, because sometimes, again, if you're experiencing dissociation or extreme depression, you cannot feel you have a body. You can be dissociated from the body. So first is come into the body and love the body and
Yeah.
allow it to sing for you. Feed the body, exercise.
Yeah.
Start with something light, walking. Doesn't have to be anything extreme. There may be, like now we're in lockdown, so it's not easy to get to a class, but do an online class of
Yeah.
Qigong, yoga, meditation. Meditation is one of the most beautiful things you can do for yourself. Cultivate silence, sit. Just for 10, then 15, then 20 minutes, half an hour a day. Just sit, cultivate silence. Find that inner peace. It doesn't matter what you do. Allow the mind to settle.
Yeah.
Allow those thoughts to settle and create a gap. And in that gap is now inner peace, is more space to be creative. And then have a philosophy, you know, and the philosophy that works for me is to leave things better than I found them, leave the world a better place,
Yeah.
other people better than you found them, exchange good energy with people.
Yeah.
And that starts with leaving yourself better than you found yourself. So really basic stuff. Brush your teeth, have a good relationship with your clothes, with your underwear, with your socks, with your shoes. Take care of yourself. Take
Yeah.
pride in yourself. I'm not talking about ego tripping or, you know, being vain, you know, pride and vanity, about taking care.
Yeah, like
Take
respect
care.
yourself, that like you deserve to wear like new underwear and
Clean clothes.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's a worthiness.
You're
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah,
Exactly. You're worth
100%.
it. You know, it's just begin to cultivate good energy with yourself.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Uh, take care of yourself. So eat as well as you possibly can. If you can, get a juicer or smoothie maker. Learn to make nutritious, delicious smoothies for yourself.
yeah,
If you've got weight issues, like if you're overweight, learn to intermittently fast. It cleans the body. There's a lot of stuff on intermittent fasting.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So once you will notice the difference, you know, that once the body's beginning to feel good, then you naturally feel better.
yeah,
Affirmations are very good. So when you've cultivated enough silence, then you can begin to impregnate the womb. And the womb is what physics would call the space. In our consciousness, we have infinite, abundant space.
yeah,
And in physics and in technology, you hack the gap. In
yeah,
advertising, you hack the gap. In if you're going to hackers, when they want to hack a computer system, that if you wanted to hack the military, right, you look for the gap. This is what hackers look for, the gap. So when the military or the government employs cyber protection, what
yeah,
the cyber protection for is it's looking for gaps, right?
yeah, yeah,
The same with our consciousness. Advertising, this is why they keep on at you with COVID. Bum, 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 bum. They're continuously hacking the gap to impregnate the idea
yeah, yeah,
and hack our own consciousness. Okay? So how you hack your own consciousness is one, learn to be mindful. And two, when you meditate and you've cultivated enough space, everything's settled, now you impregnate it
yeah,
with whatever it is you want. So if you want the feeling of, I have a beautiful and empowering relationship with my life,
yeah,
or I am an irresistible magnet to all that is mine by divine right, you know, you can hack. And if you do that practice daily, your whole energetic blueprint begins to shift. You're
yeah,
going from how you have seen yourself. So our behavior energetically creates a carbon copy. So we become a carbon copy of our behavior, our habits, our perception of ourselves. To
yeah,
get rid of those carbon copies, we do things like shaking, kundalini shake, yoga, running, anything that's just going to utilize the energy in the body. And by creating a new copy and then making carbon copies of that. So repetition, your habits. So
yeah,
if you've got a bad habit, it's no different to a good habit because they're both habits.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you know how to create habits. You don't need me to tell you how to create habits because we've all got them.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Have you got a habit? You know, habit and excellence are the same thing.
Yeah,
Addictions and habits. You know, someone who gets up and trains 6 hours a day to be the best poker player or the best guitarist. What's the difference between somebody who's got a bad habit?
yeah. It's
The
just
same.
there'll be habits that benefit us and
Habits
habits
don't,
that don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but they're both habits.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The other thing to look for as well in destructive behaviors is that we have something I've really noticed a lot when I work one to one with people are patterns. And if you catch your patterns, you can actually draw them out. And, you know, if we've got destructive patterns that we don't have control over, I call them reenactments, okay? They reenact and they can catch you by surprise. But once you catch them, you can get control over them.
Yeah.
So, or another thing I call them is a blowout. And the blowout can be anything from an eating blowout, a gambling blowout, a drinking blowout, a self-destructive blowout, right? Anything.
Yeah.
If you catch them now and you create a little chart, you'll see, oh my God, it happens every 6 weeks or every 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So every one of us has got a rhythm throughout the day. Everybody. So you can chart your rhythm. You'll know when, if you know, some people wake up and they've got no energy. Others have got a spring in their step.
Yeah.
No one is going to stay with a spring in their step. Everyone's going to come back down. So catch your waves and know, when do you function the best? When do you need to rest? And this goes on every day. We're like, we're a musical instrument. We have organs, right? We're a musical instrument. And what makes, it's the ups and the downs.
What a life.
Yes, exactly. So catch your waves on a daily basis, on a weekly, on a monthly. Get to know yourself. Cultivate a relationship.
Yeah.
Cultivate a relationship with your thoughts that put you back into the victim consciousness, or even arrogance. At the end of the day, we want level, balance,
Yeah.
honesty, because we also are full of shit. We bullshit ourselves and we bullshit other people, right? We're all full of shit. We're full of, I'm so important, or I'm not important at all, right?
Yeah.
Cultivate that kind of level of self-awareness, that centeredness,
Yeah.
and learn to move with some grace and poise.
Yeah. Definitely. Absolute pearls of wisdom.
And action, like we were saying earlier, action is the key. I don't know anything you don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know a thing that you don't know. I mean, I might know how to speak Greek because I'm Greek. You know, I might have skills that you don't have.
It's all stuff that people can develop themselves and like tap into that knowledge, you know, like that wisdom that people look up to the wise and that, but they've just worked out how to tap into that infinite, abundance of knowledge from their own life experience, you know. As long as you're learning, you're developing experience and that wisdom. So like once people, like you said, work on themselves, look at themselves, start charting their behaviors and stuff like that, they'll learn and develop that wisdom to pass on to other people themselves.
And what is it that you want, you know?
Yeah.
What do you want? And be impeccable at something, whatever that is, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be, you know, an award-winning stage performance, but practice being impeccable at something, from washing the dishes to brushing your teeth. You know, they say that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're impeccable, catch yourself. How do you brush your teeth? Or how do you wash the dishes? If you're slapdash at those simple things, you could be slapdash at a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's careful, yeah? And the thing is a devotion, it's a symphony rather than cacophony.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's like we were saying about like we're an instrument. It's like with the habits you play to make a song, you play one note at a time, but with one note you don't have a song. So the small habits, the bigger pictures. With the smaller bits of life, then more than likely people will be as well with the bigger things as well, with everything else. So once you start focusing on them smaller details and perfecting them, then changes will start to happen.
And they do.
Yeah.
The ripple effect.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You start bubbling with a different kind of, you know, melody.
Yeah.
You are an instrument.
That's it, definitely.
You're an instrument, and the conductor is life. So we are also the conductor. You know, we can make choices And we can say from now on, there's no point in beating yourself you haven't done. You have to draw the line and say, from now on, I am going to. And you might slip again tomorrow and you start again. And you say, from now on. From now, it's powerful.
Yeah, from now on. Yeah.
On, I'm going to. So, you know, catching yourself, understanding your behavior is one thing, but beating yourself up and staying stuck there, you're falling back into the suffering consciousness. You're falling back into the victim. So if you're going to self-assess, you're going to look at yourself, make an assessment and recognize where you can improve. And then you spend 6 months beating yourself up.
Yeah.
An opportunity.
Yeah, that's
Can't
it.
take any day for granted, because you don't. Every day above ground is a good day.
100%. Yeah. That's
so
it.
today is a good day to start, because tomorrow's not promised.
That's it. Exactly.
Hang ups, let them go today.
Yeah.
Let them go from now on.
Yeah. From now on, exactly that.
From this moment on, you know, I want to, whatever, I want to stop smoking. From now on, I want to be a non-smoker. From now on, I am going to develop good practice with my body. I'm going to fast for 16 hours, clean my body. I'm going to make smoothie juices. I'm going to do yoga or qigong or tai chi martial arts half an hour a day. I'm going to cultivate good practice from today onwards. I'm going to sit in meditation 10 minutes a day and cultivate silence. Silence is a biggie, because that's where you tune into your reservoir, and you don't need to tune into me, you know, babbling. You can tune into your own wisdom, because we're connected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No one teaches a cat to be a cat.
Pardon?
No one teaches a cat how to be a cat.
Ah, it just does. Yeah.
Teaches a dog how to be a dog. Okay, we train dogs, but we're training dogs to be domesticated. No one trains a bird to be a bird.
That's it. Exactly.
So if you have a body that has intuition and power, everything else we have learned that holds us back.
Yeah.
Reality is, when the mind is silenced, there's a knowing that comes that is similar to a cat's and a dog's and a bird's and an ant's and a rat's. You know, we are a mammal.
Yeah.
To work with that mammal, learning to trust the body's GPS. How does that happen? It comes with quietening the mind that has labeled everything, and it's very, very busy trying to work things out.
Yeah.
So tune into the body a bit. Without the body, there's no life.
Exactly. Yeah. So true. Yeah. Well, we'll just say about how we were talking the other day. Would you say about, is that just like with implementing these good habits and developing them, and then that resilience will grow with that, or?
Resilience is key, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Anthony Joshua going into the ring, taking a punch and then crying and just sitting on the floor crying?
Yeah.
Forget it. You've got to get up. You've got to get up.
100%.
You have to get up.
Yeah.
Life slaps you, and slaps some people more than others, right?
Yeah.
You know, life slapped me really, really hard. It slapped me to the ground. It knocked me out more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. I could have stayed. I could have stayed down, or I could have got up. And getting up, and that resilience is what creates champions. It's
100%. Yeah, definitely.
you know, and I've had bad habits and repeated some of them what we would say is unconsciously. We say when bad habits are unconscious, it means that you are not aware of them. That's all it means, okay? They're happening. Everybody else can see them.
Yeah.
Driving, you can see them, but you can't see them. So one of the bad habits that I had was to keep reenacting abusive relationships.
Yeah.
Easy to break. It was so, those habits were so intertwined. You know, a couple of years ago, I haven't been in an abusive relationship for a long time now, but I created a reenactment. Now, how did I do that? I don't know. It was very strange, but I ended up in an entangled relationship, friendship with someone, and there was a burglary. I could have seen myself as a victim, and that burglary happened randomly, but because I chose not to, I could see that I'd created a reenactment through the burglary because I wasn't creating domestic abuse. My patterns. So what I'm trying to say is we can, when we've had a lot of trauma, we can be repeating a lot of drama in our lives. And you find a lot of people who have had drama, a lot of drama, they just keep creating it around them. There's always drama. Something's always happening to them, right? So it wasn't until I began to recognize these unconscious patterns that were recreating themselves. Without my full awareness, have I been able to fully stop the reenactment. Now, how did that relate to the burglary? Well, because I wasn't reenacting self-abuse or abuse. There was to reenact it with me. Energetically, it came in another form.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's true, yeah.
Understand what I mean? You know,
Definitely.
Have you ever seen how lots of things can just repeatedly go wrong?
Yeah.
And not recognizing the source. Is our own.
First step, I suppose, is like what you're saying, is the awareness of it, isn't it? Like once you become aware of it, then you can start to look into it a bit more in your own time and start picking it out and trying to fix it or change it or however, like, or get rid of it completely. And I suppose changing it would be better. Using that energy for something constructive rather than destructive, and change the patterns, because the patterns will always be there. Like you said, we've all got habits. It's just changing them from ones that are going to be constructive for our well-being, you know.
Yeah, and habits are what we rely on. A gymnast relies on good habits to become a good gymnast. You know, it's excellence, a good habits. That's what excellence is it's good habits. So habits are are necessary but to develop good habits, they begin now to become automatic. So I had bad habits were automatic. They could have been good habits. They develop in the same way. It's the same. There's a level where energy is neither good nor bad. It's just energy. It becomes good and bad on the 3D level when we're creating. So that on that level where we are manifesting things, if we've got bad habits, self-destructive drugs, alcohol, an addiction to domestic violence, an addiction to abusive relationships, because abusive relationships are not black and white. It's not as simple as I'm the victim, he's the abuser. They go together. The victim and the abuser go together. And many victims are caught in that dynamic as a pattern, as a habit. And it's very difficult to have a non-abusive relationship. There are layers to it. And the same with the perpetrator. The perpetrator is drawn to the victim is drawn to the perpetrator. So to pull that apart and to sit and to recognize, actually, this is now a pattern that I'm involved in, and I'm actually choosing to stop this.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, is that like was you was talking about when we spoke the other day about these roles that people play within within society, and I suppose even within relationships and everything? Would that be just like a role that they've sort of like subconsciously, like both parties sort of taken in through their own experience, felt like through their own hurt, I suppose, acting out their own pain, they've gone into that sort of like sadistic, masochistic sort of roles sort of thing, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly that. Exactly.
yeah,
In all of the world's religions,
yeah,
there's a lot of information, a lot of knowledge on the archetypes, and
yeah,
we call them the gods. And then those gods have become myth throughout the world.
yeah,
We have the same archetypes, the same energies repeated throughout the world as love, fantasy, war, uh, structure,
yeah,
the victim, the perpetrator, the trickster, the god, the goddess, the page, the princess,
yeah,
father, hag, witch, wizard. These are all the archetypal energies. And everybody has the wounded child. And some people's wounded child is more wounded than other people's.
yeah,
So they may have a stronger relationship with the wounded child. Once that wounded child becomes a teenager and their hormones erupt, they can get very self-destructive. It's now where the drug addictions come in,
yeah,
food addictions or anorexia kicks in, self-harm kicks in. And then there's the machine mind, which is not our mind. The machine mind, if you turn the TV off and you turn the internet off, you can turn the machine off and you're left with yourself and your body and your habits now, the energies that have become familiar. And if you've had a perpetrator in your life, a family member that's brought suffering to you as a youngster,
yeah,
then you're having to deal with the two very strong dynamics. One is the wounded child, and the other one is being let down by the people that take care of you. Now,
yeah,
this can create a justification to be self-destructive. This has happened, so therefore I can carry on.
yeah.
And it's difficult to snap you out of it.
Yeah.
You're justified. Now, there comes a time where you might not want to continue along that path. It definitely happened. Or I didn't want to continue along that path. So I took the path of psychology, yoga, meditation, counseling, NLP, hypnotherapy, shamanism,
Yeah.
also just in order to get to grips. Now, you could say, well, if one worked, why did you try the others? Um, the reality is they're all the same.
Yeah,
It's all the same thing. At the end of the day, it is about taking action. It's having a philosophy that works,
yeah,
taking care of yourself, and taking action. That's what it boils down to. So all the archetypes and the roles that we play. When you play a role, you're being active. You're taking action. So if you want to change any of those roles, i.e., victim or even perpetrator, because some of us are perpetrators. There isn't a victim in this world who hasn't also been a perpetrator,
yeah,
right? As much as the victim wants to believe it's only ever a victim, it's not true. We can all be little fuckers.
yeah, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, you know, the victim is full of shit. It lies. It lies to itself that it's only a victim. It's not a trickster. It's not a perpetrator. It's, not a lover. Because, lovers are, it's beautiful, but as lovers, we can get jealous. We can be prone to espionage, spying, all sorts of paranoia, right? So we're not just the victim, we can be little sods.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
understanding these energies and how they move through us and how we play with them. And to start to play more consciously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it, 100%. So he'll, yeah, like that's well, I've kept you longer than what we spoke about, to be fair. So there is one more thing I wanted to cover, if that's all right.
Go on.
Well, it's what you were saying about the alchemy of pain and encouraging each of us to heal our own pain. So how to transfer that energy into positive energy and to heal ourselves with it. Do you see what I mean? Like, how would you go about that?
So today, as we sit here with COVID-19 literally crowning the world,
Yeah,
obvious that there's a lot of pain in the world.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The alchemy of pain is to sit with that pain within ourselves and to heal it within ourselves. Now, if there are really 8 billion people in the world and each one is carrying a portion of the pain, if each one of us does our bit to use that pain, like I've used it, to create this story,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
to learn the things I have, to write the stories, the poetry, the paintings. That's the alchemy of pain, where you use it to heal yourself and to leave the world a better place. So,
yeah,
what does pain explain to us? First of all, we're not dead. I'm not dead, I feel. Okay. The moment you try to cut everything off, you become a machine. You're lacking conscience. So, our conscience is our guilt, it's our shame. Shame tells you you've done something that goes against your own moral compass.
yeah,
Guilt tells you that you've hurt yourself or somebody else.
yeah,
Guilt should be your best friend, not your best friend that you visit every single day and that you sit and wallow with and use it as an excuse to drink more, or not to eat, or to overeat, or not to do anything, or to harm yourself. Guilt as in best friend, as in I feel guilty that I've let myself down today, so therefore what's the message? If the alchemy is to hear that,
yeah,
what do you feel guilty about today? I feel guilty that I sat and had 3 bars of chocolate instead of having my smoothie and going for a walk. So use that guilt to have the smoothie tomorrow.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I feel guilty that I screamed at my mother like a teenager.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Use that guilt not to scream at her from now on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
I'm not talking about wallowing, because wallowing is back to self-destruction, sadomasochism, being masochistic.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
masochism is the other extreme. The balance of using these emotions as your best friend is that they tell you where your aberrations are. So if your highest good, if your message is to leave the world a better place,
yeah,
leave your kitchen better than you found it,
yeah,
leave your bedroom better than you found it, leave your teeth better than you found them, leave, um, do be impeccable at washing the dishes, be impeccable when you go for a walk, be impeccable when you greet another person.
yeah,
Guilt comes along. Why has it come along? Something you've done something,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So I'm not. That's the alchemy, where you can use that to transmute, to be honest with yourself. And when I say impeccable, I'm not talking perfection, but washing the dishes so that they're clean, wiping the sides so that they're clean, um, giving yourself a space to thrive in. And
yeah,
again, not talking about perfection, because in mental health, we can have perfectionistic ideals that leave people not feeling good enough. Nothing's ever good enough.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's important to be enough, to be just good enough, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
how does impeccable and just good enough, how do they marry?
yeah,
You know, how do those two standards, one, you know, on the one hand you're saying you'll be good enough, and on the other hand you're saying be impeccable. You have to find it.
yeah,
Find where good enough and impeccability meet.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
feel you're good enough. I'm good enough,
yeah,
but at the same time, striving and thriving. So
yeah,
the sense that striving effortlessly. So now again, we're getting into paradoxes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Is the alchemy of pain. Being able to use human suffering to have a conscience, that we're not dead,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
died and dead to ourselves and our needs and our destructive behaviors, but at the same time not wallowing in those behaviors, veering off, skirting on the edge and
yeah,
suffering and making other people suffer.
yeah,
The 8 billion of us deal with our own shit.
yeah. Then you can look at a better place in the future. Yeah, definitely.
Everybody dealt with their stuff, and we were, you know, we exchanged good energy with one another.
Yeah,
Job
definitely.
done, really, isn't it?
That's
Whatever
it.
you
Exactly that.
said.
Yeah, yeah. 100%.
You do,
100%.
you know, you've been good to yourself. You've cultivated enough silence so that your mind is at rest. You've fulfilled your tasks for the day.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You've left things better than you found them.
100%.
Changed the energy with the people that you've met.
Yeah,
And you've got a path with a heart,
yeah,
which you're
yeah.
doing right now. You know, this is your path with a heart.
Yeah, sound. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What more, you know? And I think, you know, we live in a material world. They call this 3D. You know, we live in a material world. The material world is about creating things with magic. We are the magician,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
this is our kingdom. What do you want? There's nothing to say you can't have it. Don't listen to the machine that says you can't have, because you can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely,
Not
definitely. It's all within our reach.
It's not bad, but people think it's bad to want money, and they think it's bad to what. It's not bad. I'm
Yeah,
not talking
yeah,
about greed. I'm talking about love.
yeah,
Talking about one thing that I've noticed a lot in mental health is that people often don't give themselves permission to have. They don't give themselves permission to have health,
yeah,
have wealth,
yeah,
to have happiness, and they get self-destructive. And that in itself is a reenactment of some destruction, some messages that had come either through the family, the ancestral line, or through the machine
yeah.
mind. Look at EastEnders. I can't, all they do is scream.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's very little wisdom in EastEnders.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Even with COVID, there was no grandfather wisdom in dealing with COVID. There was no grandmother, no mother, no uncle, no auntie. You know,
That's it.
the
Yeah,
wisdom with COVID needed to go something along the lines of, we could be facing a pandemic. You need to trust your body and your immune system. Get yourself some vitamin C, vitamin D, some zinc, some magnesium,
yeah, yeah,
and cut out the sugar as much as you can.
yeah.
Um,
That's it.
Don't allow yourself to get too afraid, because that affects your adrenal glands. So you're going to go into your cortisol levels will heighten.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Stay as calm as possible and trust your body
Yeah,
and strengthen your body with vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. That would have been grandfather wisdom.
yeah,
Instead,
yeah.
it's hack, 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 hack.
Yeah.
So
They play on people's fears rather than giving them information to better themselves, sort of thing. You know.
Yeah, the machine mind.
Yeah.
And that's how you can tell it's artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Our infinite, consciousness has wisdom. We have wisdom. It's
Yeah.
tapping into that. And good habits, good practice, taking action.
Yeah. Definitely. That's fantastic stuff. Well, thank you so much, Elena, for having this chat with me today. I've learned a lot, and I'll guarantee anybody who listens to this will learn a lot as well. So I look forward to putting it out there.
Thank you.
That's all right. I'll stop the recording now.
'Cause I'll be there for you, 'cause we care for you. You're there for me too, my friend. I know it's hard sometimes when you feel left behind. Tell me what's on your mind. Why do this on your own? Yeah. 'Cause I'll be there for you, my friend. 'Cause I'll be there for you, 'cause you're there for me too. Oh yeah, there for you in the end.